Hello there, friends. My name is April San Pedro, and I have another Vlogmas, the Christmas craft edition for you. So for the past few days, I've been sharing Christmas craft ideas that you can do for yourself or with your kids. And it's also a great idea to spend on a weekend, or perhaps if you want to give this to your friends and loved ones. So for this video, I have another Christmas craft for you, and we're gonna make a Christmas card. We're gonna add a little bit of technique, which is an embossing powder and a heat gun. All right, so let's get started. First of all, here are the materials that you will be needing. You will need a paper. A cardstock or any thick paper will do. I will be using a watercolor paper, so if you have this or any thick paper, that will do. So I cut the paper into a greeting card size, and then you'll also need an envelope, so you don't have to make the envelope anymore. But if you still want to DIY your envelope, there are a lot of templates for your envelope as well. Another thing is the stamps. I'll be using clear stamps this time, and if you're gonna use a clear stamp, you will be needing an acrylic block as well, and also some ink pads. And since I mentioned a while ago that we will be using an extra technique today, which is the embossing powder, you will also need an embossing pad, or if you don't have this, there's also what you call the embossing pen. So the pen comes in different tip points, so you can either choose a broad one, a thick one, a thin one, so that depends on you. So this one is the brand is Zig, but I'm pretty sure you can find any other brands for the emboss pen. As for the embossing stamp pad, this one is called Embossed, and it's a clear ink pad. Aside from the embossing pen and the pad, you will be needing an embossing powder. Now the embossing powder comes in different colors. So what I have here is an enchanted gold, which you'll see later that it comes in a very light or a bit clear with a touch of yellow. So this is advisable if you're gonna use a dark paper, like a black one or any dark paper, so the color will actually pop up. Now I also have here this one is, I think, a bronze color. I think it's a bronze color. So this is actually okay for white colored for white paper. Embossing powder actually the one who will give you the color, not the ink pad or the pens. So if you want to choose a different color for your embossing elements, choose a powder that you want, like red or green or something else that you wish to add, because that's the color, that's the visible color that you will be see once it's already dry. Now all this is quite important, but none of the embossing powder will work unless if you have a heat gun. So you will also be needing a heat gun. A blower will also do, but I haven't tried it yet, but I believe a blower is the heat is a little bit low compared to a heat gun. So I wouldn't really suggest a blower, but you can try it as well. Now, if you want to add a little bit of dimension to your greeting card, I would also suggest that you will also need a double-sided foam tape. So I guess that's everything you need. And now let's start our greeting card. Okay, so for this greeting card, I want to try two different options for you. One is using the ink pad, and the other one is with the pen. And we will also try a different color paper, just so to add extra oomph to your greeting card. I'll be using clear stamps for my elements, just to make my life easier, that I don't have to draw anymore. But if you feel like drawing, the pens are actually good for that. Let's say I want to make, so I'm just gonna make a simple greeting card. So here, I'm gonna choose what elements. Now I want to use this one. And then I'm thinking if I should do this. This is yeah, okay. So let's do this one. So first, this is like just your usual ink pad, except that the ink pad is actually an embossing pad. So this one is a bit sticky. Just make sure you put enough ink pad to your stamp so the powder will actually stick to it. Okay, so I'm just gonna stamp it here. This one is gonna be a bit tricky because you won't be seeing the ink pad. I'm just hoping, but if you notice there's a bit yellow stain on it. Okay, so let's try this one first. Oh, I also forgot that you will be needing an extra paper because that will catch your excess embossing powder. So now that we have our ink pad on our greeting card, let's put a generous amount of the powder. So make sure there's no fan on your space because it will surely make your desk messy just like right now. So going back, make sure to put a generous amount of the embossing powder. And don't worry about it if you feel like you're using too much because you can always reuse the excess one. So this is the purpose of the paper. I believe there's also a tool for embossing powder that you don't have you don't need an extra paper, but nonetheless this will do. Okay. So you just have to catch the excess powder, and then you can clean up the surrounding so this won't be affected once you heat gun it. Once you use the heat gun, I wouldn't suggest you blow the excess one because that will also mean the powder that's stuck on the embossed ink. Oh, I just made a mistake. Okay, so because of that, I'm gonna add more here. I'm just gonna set this powder aside. Don't forget to put it back in the jar later and then you can reuse it after. Okay, so now time to use the heat gun. I think this one is dry already. Yeah. Now since I only have one colored embossing powder, I want to try the gold one for the element. Since it's just an add-on design, I wouldn't mind if it's too light. So we're just gonna do the same as what we did a while ago. Make sure that the ink pad, put a generous amount of ink pad on your stamp. I think if you'll be using a clear stamp, one advantage of that is if you think you didn't put enough embossing ink, you can just redo it because you can see right away if you miss some parts of the stamp. Okay. I tell you, this embossing powder will go a long way. So if you're worried about putting generous amount of it, you don't have to, because it is really a lot. And there you go. That's your first embossed Christmas card. Simple as that, but the technique of adding embossed ink will actually give an extra oomph to your greeting card. Now, this is just the simple way of using the embossing powder and the ink for your greeting card. Now, let's try adding extra design to your card. Okay, so now I want to add this one and the name or a title, Happy Holidays. And then we will be adding a dimension to it. So first, I'm gonna stamp this on a scratch paper. Okay. Then the embossed powder. Now, once you get the hang of it, this will be easier for you already. I also think you can use powder, like baby powder, or not sure if there's a specific powder to it, just so, and then you can apply it on your paper, so the embossing powder won't stick on the other empty space. Look at that. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's actually a bronze or copper shimmer. It looks so cool. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna cut this one following the shape of the stamp. Okay, so now that I have my title, I'm gonna get the card, and then I'm gonna add extra decoration to it by using this one. This time, I'm just gonna use a regular ink pad. So I'm gonna use the green one, or now I'm just gonna align or check where to put the title, because I'm gonna put the regular ink or the stamp at the back of it. So something like this. Okay. I want to add a little bit of red. This one. And then I'm gonna put double-sided foam for the title, just so to make the title pop. And that's it. A very quick greeting card, but it gives you a little oomph and a lot of love. Okay, so we've tried the white paper as our greeting card. Now let's try a black paper this time. You can also use other frosted dark color, so if you want to try it out. But what I have right now is just a black one. And then let's also do a pop-up. Okay, so I'll be using this Christmas tree stamp. And then don't forget your scratch paper. So this time around, I want to try the calligraphy pen and write hope. Right, and then just repeat the process, which is you cut following the shape of your elements. And just like a while ago, I still want to add a double-sided foam tape just to give a little dimension. There's another card that includes a little bit of calligraphy. So if you're into calligraphy, then it's a nice way to incorporate with your greeting card and adding extra technique, which is the embossing powder. And as you can see, it was so easy and the possibilities are so many, especially if you're using clear stamps. Then there's so many ways that you can use the stamps. You don't have to worry about your design anymore because you can just base it with your stamps. You can also add watercolor as your background, so there's so many possibilities that you can do. But if you don't have enough time, a simple stamp and embossing ink will do the trick. So I hope you enjoy this simple greeting card Christmas craft, and let me know in the comments below if you try this or if you have other techniques for this. I would also love to know that. And so that's it. Happy weekend, friends, and enjoy crafting. Bye.